Hi, this is Nate with the Hair Restoration Institute of Minnesota, sitting down with Paul Charchian, the godfather of fantasy football and an HRI client for 10 years now. How are you, Paul?
10 years. I'm doing great, and it's exciting to be here in your brand new offices. Congratulations!
Yeah, look at this. So we got beautiful views of the Twin Cities skyline. We got the Minnesota Valley National Wildlife Refuge. It's a really great space, 12 floors up away from the hustle and bustle of daily life.
Yeah.
It's what we want to talk about today are the decision to do something about our hairline. I have a lot of friends in their 30s. They're starting to see their hair is not what it used to be. They're looking at pictures of their dads and the pictures of their own hairline. They're seeing a lot of similarities. And we want to talk about your decision those 10 years ago when you decided that you want to turn back the clock.
Yeah.
Kind of walk us through, what that was like, why you came to HRI, and why you decided to do what you want to do. And I'll also add, I've done my own hair restoration procedures too, so I want to kind of chat about both of these choices.
Yeah. When I first came to Hair Restoration Institute, I came with my girlfriend, who's very supportive of it. And I think for a lot of guys, with wives, girlfriends, maybe they don't say anything about your hair loss, but they're noticing.
Yeah.
They look at you more than you look at you. And I think it makes sense to just ask. Ask your partner, your wife, your girlfriend, what do you think about me improving my hairline and acting on my hair loss? What do you think about that? I think you're going to be surprised that you're going to find in many cases that the other person in your life is very supportive of you at least getting more information and finding out what options are available to you to work on your hair loss.
Yeah. I mean, I know my wife is very open when I ask for the feedback, but she kind of holds it back until I do. It'll be, honey, am I getting a little chubby? She's like, yes, you are getting chubby. Honey, is my hair getting thin? I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah, like that's why it's time to take some kind of action. And when it comes to the investment that you're making, it's not just, always going to one person's, taking a larger claim of the family checkbook. It's like how you look as a couple is super important. It's the long-term value of all the pictures you take together, all the vacations that you take. When you come home, you got those kind of picture memories, and you want to be looking your best in them. She wants to take you out places, and she wants you looking your best. And I haven't seen clients come in where the spouse or their partner or their friends weren't supportive of what they were doing. And I think that for a lot of men, they just need to know that people are out there to help them, and they want them to look that way. And it's by no means selfish to want to look your best.
Working on your hair loss problem is a win-win for you and your partner. You get to feel better about how you look. Your self-confidence goes up. Your partner gets to see you look better. Everybody wins in the scenario where you take action on your hair loss.
Yeah. I see a lot of guys will also come in, they'll get their hair cut, and their stylist that they've been seeing at Great Clips or something like that is, been kind of holding back, but this bald spot back here is it's getting a little bit bigger.
Right.
And it's like, oh my gosh, it's time to come on in. I think sometimes a lot of guys just need that little nudge. It's like, hey, you could go on the treadmill, you could do this thing. And, I think if you're looking for that sign, if you think that there's a chance you might need some help, by all means, come and get a free consultation. We'll do a full scalp check. We'll look at the hairline. We can compare pictures when you were younger and develop a treatment plan that's going to exactly get you the kind of hair that you want to have. All right. What else are we... people are worried about coming back to work. We could talk about, you did the FUT, which leaves that very faint linear scar. There's also FUE. That might be too.
I think it's too. Yeah, I think it is.
What else?
So, you said there's like A follicles and B follicles?
Yeah.
Does a B ever turn into an A if you swap it to the top, or is that just...
No, it's purely based on where it is. So I can talk about why that is, and you could stitch that in.
I think it'd be
Yeah.
personally interested.
Got it.
So
You want me to lead up to this? You want me to ask
sure,
you about
yeah.
it? So tell me more about these A-type follicles and the B-type follicles. The A-types are the ones that are in here, they can fall out, and the B-types are the permanent ones.
Yeah, so our A-type lives up here, B-type lives over here, and the A-type is vulnerable to falling out. So if you look at photos of your dad or your mom's dad, DNA is our destiny. So the hairline they have is, at some point, it's going to trickle down through the genes to you. It's not really well understood why humans have evolved to have hair loss in that A area. It's just one of those
no
kind of
genetic
tricks of life.
advantage, I don't think. Yeah.
What's happening is our bodies naturally produce this hormone called DHT. And the A hair follicles are actually sensitive to this hormone. So the hormone makes contact, cuts off the blood flow, miniaturizes the hair, causes it to fall out. And so the most sensitive areas are right up here in this temple area, and then our crown area. Everyone has slightly different patterns, maybe more the crown than the front, but we have those patterns. And the type B hair is not sensitive to that hormone. Same thing with our eyebrows and our beard hair. The rest of our body hair, not sensitive, just the top hair up there. And so if we move that permanent hair around, we take some of those B hairs, move them where we've lost hair, can insert them one at a time, and those are permanent hairs you'll have when you're toasting your 95th birthday. You know, those are engineered to not fall out.
Transplant, you did the PRP.
PRP, exactly right.
You know, for me, it all started in my late 30s. That's when I began to notice the hairline was getting thinner, and I'd look in the mirror and I could see a lot more skull than I used to before, right through the hair, and then you know, the temples started moving up, but you know, in your 30s, at that point, I'm like, well, okay, maybe I'm just fooling myself here, but I'm gonna. Is it gonna get worse? Maybe it'll just stay at about this level, and of course it didn't. The sink got more and more hair in it over time, and I'm losing more hair in the shower, and it's going the wrong direction. So in my early 40s is when I came to HRI first, and just wanted to find out about the options. What are the different things that I could do? I'd heard about the transplant, so I knew a little bit more about that, but what were the full range of options for me, guy in my young 40s then, to solve my hair loss problem and just feel more comfortable and like the person that I saw in the mirror every time I got up, you know, got out of bed, went in the bathroom, like, that's the guy I want to see.
Yeah. Hair loss is not like a sports injury where it'll kind of heal over time. Right. You know, you're never gonna wake up and go, there's all the hair back. You know, slowly it kind of falls out. And you know, what we find is that, you know, the reason why we have hair loss, as you know, we got two types of hair in our head. We've got the type A hair up here. This is the one that's vulnerable to falling out. And the type B hair on the back and sides. So that's all permanent. And so when you get into your 30s, maybe the hairline starts kind of going back. We got the bald spot back that starts to open up. And so I know that you did the hair transplant option, which what we're doing there, we're taking hair from the backyard, putting it in the front yard. It's your hair, filling it in. It's a one-day procedure, has permanent results. Kind of walk us through what it was like for you to come on in, learn about it, and then make the decision to take that kind of next step.
What I loved about the transplant was, among other things, that it's permanent and it requires no upkeep. So once you do the transplant, it's your type B hair growing, and you treat it like all the hair you've ever had your whole life. You don't do anything special. There's no maintenance, no ongoing anything, and it just acts like all of your hair has always been before you had the hair loss. And that's the best part about the transplant. Now it helps that it's here in a beautiful office, and it's a one-day painless procedure that only lasts a handful of hours. And the fact that day is stress-free, low effort, makes it that much easier to get the transplant. I think there's a lot of apprehension that people have, and when people ask me about the transplant, it's surgical. So people get a little bit weirded out, like, is it going to be painful? Is it going to be something that's going to, scare me? Is there going to be oceans of blood? Whatever. No, it's not. It's none of those things, right?
Yeah.
It is a shockingly straightforward, pain-free experience that only lasts a few hours, and the return that you get is a lifetime return.
Yeah. So you're just lying back, you're watching TV, you're looking out the windows here.
Yeah.
This is your day just to relax. The doctors do the whole thing. We got these nurse technicians that are moving the hair by hair, one at a time, filling it all in. and you just gotta sit there and watch Netflix or
That's what I did.
watch the
Yep.
game, and
Yeah.
I think will fall asleep. But see, that's a pretty common thing these days. Now, I did PRP, so when I was looking at my own hairline, I was just seeing more of my scalp through the center area when I go and brush my teeth. The lights of the kind of bathroom mirror, I'd see more and more of that. When I get pictures taken, I just kind of see further and further back. And so my hairline was pretty much where I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
I wanted to thicken it up. And so I chose to do PRP, platelet-rich plasma therapy. What we do is we take growth factors. These are proteins that are in our blood. They tell our cells how to grow, how to heal, and we have them naturally. What we can do is take a very small vial of our blood, spin it in a centrifuge, get that gold-colored plasma liquid, and just re-inject it in there. And it's kind of like this great fertilizer for hair. And so now I see a lot less of that in there. And that one's more of a kind of multi-step process. You do about 6 treatments over 1 year. But it really can help restore that hair, thicken it back up again, and hide that scalp. And so we've been talking also about, when we see our friends, you were talking about your fantasy draft. Like every year, you kind of get people back together again. So your chance to check in, see how everyone looks a year older.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I'm seeing a lot more baseball hats,
Right.
now.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot more kind of the hairline start to go back. Kind of talk more about, how you've seen people's confidence change when they, see hair loss.
I've seen my own confidence change, and we all want to look our best. That's no crime. It's vanity. There's a place for vanity in our lives. We all want to look our best. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity to invest in your future self and make sure that you look as good as you can look for something you can absolutely control. And,
Absolutely, yeah.
That's why I love Hair Restoration Institute and the work that I had done here, because it is permanent. It makes me get out of bed, go to the mirror, love the person that I see, and not have to give any real thought to that whole part of my look. I can concentrate on my other look. It's like, do I want clear frames today? Is this a clear frames day?
Yeah.
Or am I going to wear my other frames are brown? Am I going to wear my brown frames? I can
Yeah.
concentrate on the other parts of my look. I know my hair is going to be there every day,
Yeah.
and it continues to look great, and I know it's going to be that way for the rest of my life. And that makes the investment that you make, and in my case, the transplant, in your case, the PRP, it makes that a pretty easy decision when you think about how this is going to make you feel great about your look for the rest of your life.
Exactly right. And it's silly how hair for men is that one last thing that seems to have stigma around it.
Yeah.
Like I had braces for years. I had the whole headgear and stuff
Wow,
like that.
right.
No issue with that.
Yeah.
You can get LASIK surgery. There's no issue with that. You get a personal trainer. No issue with that. But some people, they feel like it's there's this stigma about talking about hair loss, and that's what we want to kind of shatter here. Is like hair loss is super common. Half of men are going to have hair loss.
Yeah.
And some people look really good bald. There's no kind of whatever. That's fine. But for a lot of people, they don't want to look that way. They want to turn back the clock. And the issue is that they can do it. Now, you cut it pretty early, so we were able to kind of bring the hairline down, fill it in. A lot of guys wait, too long. You probably see lots of guys that come up to you. The whole thing is gone. They're asking what can be done, and it's pretty tough. Like, tell me more about why did you decide to really act then as opposed to like waiting later on?
Important, especially for the transplant, and really for almost every procedure that you may have with your hair loss. The sooner you act, the better, because we've just got more hair to work with on your head.
Yeah.
And that opens up more and more possibilities of things you can do. There gets to be a time when you simply can't, for example, use the surgery if there's just not enough hair. You've lost too much hair.
Too large of an area to cover.
Right.
Not enough hair
to give. And
Yeah.
and so just encourage people to not wait too long. Come in before it's a catastrophic hair loss problem. When you start to see issues, if you come in early, you've got really all of the options available that Hair Restoration Institute has to solve your particular hair loss problem. And those things can change over time, but the earlier you come in, the more options you've got.
No one's ever said, I wish I was balder for longer. You know? And when you catch it early, when we start seeing the hairline going back there, we're able to fix it in a much smaller procedure, and you can kind of maintain that same look. You don't see someone who like loses their hair in their 30s and they suddenly get it back in their 40s. You kind of like maintain a nice natural look, and that's all possible. Now you've also, I think, been a very outspoken client of ours. You've kind of shared your hair loss journey, which is great because now a lot of people have the confidence to come on in, to take action. You've taught a lot of people that there are other options out there. They don't have to accept hair loss. And you probably get a lot of questions from people on the street or neighbors or people at the mall. Kind of tell me what are the most common things that people actually ask you?
Yeah, most commonly people will ask me about the lifestyle change. How did this change make you feel? When you went from having not enough hair to loving your look, what did that mean to you? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are thinking back to how they looked maybe in their 20s, mm-hmm. and like, man, I didn't appreciate it then, but boy, it would mean a lot more to me now to have that hair back. They ask about the procedure, and I remind people it's a one-day painless procedure. It's fast, it's easy, the recovery is quick. For the transplant, it is really not nearly, it's nothing to be afraid of, and that's something that people have a hesitancy around in some cases.
You're back to work very quickly. There's a quick break we take for about 2 weeks from kind of working out, but then you're right back to normal. So your life really doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's also permanent. One day, all it takes is one day, and it's a permanent procedure.
Yeah, people will often ask about that. Like, what's the maintenance or upkeep you have to do after you get the transplant? Well, there is none. That's the beauty of it, is it's your hair just growing in a different spot, and you treat it like the hair you've always had. And so there's no ongoing maintenance or cost or trouble or hassle. It's the beauty of the transplant.
You can cut it, dye it, swim with it, blow dry it. It's real hair, your hair. It grows forever.
Right.
So they ask about that. What else do they tend to ask you about?
People tend to ask about the cost of the transplant, and it's not cheap, but you, in my mind, you prorate that over the rest of your life. This is something you're going to gain benefit from forever. You are with your hair 24 hours a day for the rest of your life. I imagine myself someday when I'm in the 55 plus community living, and everybody else has got hair loss issues, and I don't.
No one's going to think that you should be there. Like, you're like the bellhop or something. Like, who's this young man here?
Right. Yeah, that's what I hope is going to be the case. And not there yet, but at some point that's going to happen, and I'm going to look great. And so the cost it's not trivial, but again, prorated over your lifetime, it's an investment in yourself. I view it not unlike investing in an IRA. I'm putting away a little bit of money every month today so that when I retire, I've got an asset for myself.
Yeah.
By getting the transplant now, whether it's in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, you're doing something for your later self, making an investment, giving yourself an asset for later in life. Some
guys come in and they ask me, would wearing a hat cause hair loss? My granddad fought in World War II. He had a helmet on. He's convinced the helmet caused that. And that is not true. So almost all of hair loss is just male pattern balding. This is just our genes have pre-programmed our hair to fall out. And typically that happens in our 20s and 30s. That's our peak shedding year. So a lot of guys come in their 30s, that's when they've lost most of their hair, and they're ready to take action then because they really see, oh wow, I can't kind of go on like this. There really are not a lot. There's a few other causes of hair loss. There are much more specialized medical conditions. It tends to look different, so you'd have more of a Swiss cheese pattern of kind of hair loss there. But for the extreme vast majority of people out there that are having hair loss, it's just typical male pattern balding, which is very easily solved through hair transplants and PRP.
All right, so no matter how many baseball caps you own and like to wear, those
Yeah.
baseball caps are not going to change your hairline.
Yeah, you have a closet of 500 Twins caps, and it's not going to change anything. Yeah, yeah, and I see that too when people come in. It's oftentimes they're kind of dating again, or they're going to get married soon, and they're taking the steps now to have that full head of hair later on that will help them have the kind of relationships that they want, the wedding photos that they want to have, the kind of career that they want to have. That's also a very common time, people when they're going to make some big kind of career transition, and they want to have that kind of confidence going in. It's one less thing that you have to worry about. You don't have to wear the baseball cap or grow the long beard to like take the eyes. Exactly right. You can wear the fun glasses because that's what you want to wear.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's just be honest. A motivating fact for many people is divorce. Now you're single again, trying to get into shape, trying to look your best. I mean, people don't talk about that very often, but that's a real motivator for a lot of people, and it's completely legitimate. You want to look your best. You want to have as many dating options as you can. You want to be as presentable as you can.
Yeah.
You're losing weight. You're doing all these other things. Hair restoration is part of that process for a lot of people, and that's fine.
And just picture too, it's like, what if you could go to the gym just once, and you're like a fit body for the rest of your life? That's how it is with hair. It takes a little bit of time for the hair to come on in, but again, it's a one-day procedure. And when it comes to the kind of to finding the right spouse or getting the right job, or even just looking the way that you want to look on your own terms. I mean, there's very few options out there that kind of work out as well as hair transplants.
Yeah.
And also PRP is very common too. So a lot of people now today, they'll do transplants with PRP, especially those that have a lot more loss. It thickens everything back up again. So you don't really even have to wait until you have a bald spot or until, there's a real substantial noticeable change. There are things that we can do to maintain the look that we have and not have to worry about, all of that stuff.
Yeah. Your PRP looks great. Your hair looks thick. I don't see any skull coming through that hair. It has definitely worked for you.
Constantly watching it up there, but that's the thing. I mean, when you can. So with transplants, we're moving the hair, the back hair, the front yard. With PRP, we're taking those really thinning little baby hairs you might see that kind of crop up, the hair that lets more light pass through. Let's just thicken all of those hairs up using your body's own natural growth factors. We're not putting any odd hormones or things that have like side effects into you. It's your body's own healing growth factors in there. Very, very common. Anyone that has hair thinning, a lot of women that have hair thinning will do PRP. And a lot of men, the hairline's fine, they want to thicken it up. That's also super common. And what's really cool about where we are now, you can kind of hear them right now, we're right next to the airport. So there's 147 cities that have direct flights here. And so what we're getting is a lot of people who actually probably hear you, from Fargo or Bismarck or Sioux Falls. This is where there's not a hair restoration clinic there. They can fly in. There's a hotel built into our building, stay there, get their hair transplant done, and fly home. And it's never been more easy to kind of take that next step,
Yeah, if you live outstate, you can get a virtual consultation at Hair Restoration Institute. Talk to the people here virtually, schedule your procedures, fly in, get it done that day, stay in the hotel, fly home the next day. Piece of cake.
Yeah. And that's kind of part of our mission. Like we want to improve lives and restore confidence through great hair. And that's why, it's not just in the Twin Cities. I know it's very easy for you to come in here. We want to spread that mission across the entire Midwest. And so if you're a Paul Charchian fan out there, thinking about what your next fantasy sports picks are, and you're seeing that hairline, start to move back, just think that there's options here. There's a place where you can go to get the right answers, get a really clear, actionable treatment plan, and then to take the next step and get your hair fixed. Well, Paul, thank you so much for coming on in today. Always a pleasure getting the chances to see you. I look forward to changing my personal lineup based upon what you're saying. And we'll see you back here next time soon.